Many have the Heels headed to the Big Ten. How will they fare? Thanks for stopping by here at the Voice of College Football, the best in discussion, debate, and analysis of the game we all love each and every day with you. Please like the video and subscribe. All right, let's get to it. North Carolina athletic director stated last month that the Heels will have to leave the ACC. There's just not enough money in the league. Okay, we have covered that, so please check out those videos. Also, check out the video that we posted that makes the case for North Carolina to the Big Ten. In this video, what we are focusing on is North Carolina's track record against Big Ten teams, and more importantly, how did the Heels project on the football field in the Big Ten? Let's check out the numbers going back to the year 2000. North Carolina in the midst of a two-game home-and-home series with Minnesota. They play at Minnesota this fall. They took on the Gophers and won the game in Chapel Hill 31-13 over a 6-7 Minnesota team. The Heels finished at 8-5 after a bowl loss. In 2022, Oregon, of course, just entering the Big Ten, and North Carolina put on quite a show with Bo Nix against Drake May, 28-27 Ducks in that game. 2016 is where you have to go for the most recent game against the Big Ten. Before that 2023 Minnesota game, home and home against Illinois, North Carolina won in a big way by 25 points and 34 points against pretty hapless Illinois teams at 3-9 and 5-7. Those Heels teams finished at 8-5 and 11-3. Then it's a run of games against Rutgers. A lot of non-conference games against Rutgers. Don't know exactly why. And then against Maryland, of course. Well, Maryland was a fellow member in the ACC. So look at these games against Rutgers. Scarlet Knights won the Quick Lane Bowl in 2014, 40-21. Then we've got Rutgers games in 2010, 2011, going back to 2008. All of those Heels wins against pretty good Rutgers teams, at least in 2008 and 2011. A win against Maryland in 2012, their most recent game against the Terps. And then, of course, Maryland joined the Big Ten in 2014. Before that, more games against Rutgers and Maryland. Look at this home-and-home series with Wisconsin in 2003 and 2005. And both wins for the Badgers. Pretty good Wisconsin teams at 7-6 and 10-3. And a sterling 14-5 win for the Badgers against a 5-6 Carolina team in 2005. More games against the Terps and losses early in the 2000s against Ralph Friedgen's Maryland Terrapins, and a win against Maryland in 2000. So if you add it all up, what we get is North Carolina at 9-8 against the current Big Ten, 8-2 in the past 10 meetings. Again, a lot of Maryland, a lot of Rutgers, 11 of those games out of 17 against the Terps and the Scarlet Knights. Now, to put in better perspective how good those North Carolina teams were in facing Big Ten teams, well, the Big Ten teams were somewhat better. So if you add up all those North Carolina teams, they're just barely over 500 at 109 and 103. The Big Ten teams had 122 and 91, so they were playing slightly up in grade, just slightly. And to their credit, came out at 9-8 with a point differential in their favor of plus 12 points. So virtually an even matchup against the Big Ten. But no Ohio State, no Michigan, no Penn State, no Michigan State when they were playing good football under Mark D'Antonio. We see North Carolina suffering some rough times in the latter portion of Larry Fedora's tenure, but doing much better under Mack Brown, although they haven't been as good as many people had predicted, and we see what North Carolina's done in the 21st century. So what kind of program would the Big Ten be receiving on the football field? I give North Carolina generally more credit than I should at first thought. Before I really think about it, my first thought is, well, this is a fringe top 25 program. I think about the good times under Mack Brown, who had 2 or 3 exceptional seasons in the late 90s before he took off for Texas, and then instantly improved the Heels. They got to an Orange Bowl in 2020. They got to an ACC championship game a couple seasons ago as well in 2022. So North Carolina's been improved. And of course, the quarterback play, Sam Howell, Drake May, has been sterling with weapons all over the place at running back and wide receiver. But if you put it all together, they're barely a 500 football team, and they've underachieved. They've not won the ACC since the early 1980s. They've never won a major bowl. So this is not a great football program. It's a decent football program. If you compare to the current Big Ten, think UCLA, think Maryland, Minnesota, in that realm. And maybe Minnesota's been better in recent years, actually, under P.J. Fleck at 11-2, 9-4, 9-4 before last season. So think in that range of teams. Fringe of contention at times. If North Carolina would move to the Big Ten, they would have to improve significantly to be a contending team in the Big Ten. In football, of course, they play another sport, and they do much better in that one. That's our take on North Carolina against the Big Ten. Again, we have produced videos looking at North Carolina's credentials and possibilities of joining the Big Ten. So please check out those videos. We've posted those down in the comments section below. Next stop, UNC versus the SEC. What does that look like in the last 20 or 25 years? Next, right here on the Voice of College Football.